everyone, and welcome back to a Troupe of Players and Actual Play podcast. I am your GM, Chris Maclean, and on behalf of me and my team, I'm sorry for having to split this episode. To be fair, it was literally entirely out of our control. There was nothing that could have been done. But, you know, it did create that hiccup. We've got that halfway. But we present the exciting conclusion of the finale for the first arc. Mike, how are you feeling? You ready to blast through this, buddy?
I'm ready. I'm vibing.
Yeah? Let's go. Let's fucking do this. Tati, you ready, girl?
So freaking ready.
Good. That's what I love to hear. Alex, you ready to rarin?
I'm terrified. Let's do it.
Oh, I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or not. I'm excited too. Tyler, how about you, buddy?
I'm never ready. Never ready for anything. But we're gonna wing it. That's it.
Hey, honey, you ready to go?
Just praying that the internet gods smile upon us today.
I hope it's perfectly aligned in Big Ben, so that the internet works properly.
Oh my god, IT crowd reference. Okay, wow.
Oh god. Okay.
That's throwback.
So, where we left off, you had just finished your meeting with Barnabas Glass, you had dropped off the journal with him, and you were trying to figure out where you were going to go next, what you wanted to do, and the choices that were before you was Barnabas Glass had set up a tailor for you to visit, who was going to give you some new clothes to help disguise you, a little bit more discreet. And then outside of the tailor, your options were to visit Oliver Ronan or to visit Eric Verne. Eric Verne is a member of the aristocracy who has been trying to foster support for the Coven within Parliament. And Oliver Ronan is the head of one of, if not the largest cell of the Coven as part of the movement, and certainly the largest cell within the city itself. And there was another option, which I should have brought up, but everything broke. The other thing was, Tati, you now have damning evidence that your father is involved with some shady shit. And that is something that could be brought, at the very least, to the attention of Eric Verne, who, again, is probably your only ally within the aristocracy right now. But other than that, those are kind of your options. You can fall in with the Militant Coven, you can meet up with Eric Verne, but the drawback of meeting with Eric Verne is that there's a higher risk of you being noticed as a group.
I think we need new clothes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it might be wise to hit up this tailor.
Always with the shopping with you, huh?
Cassandra just needs, like, a new fit.
I agree. I think we should go that direction.
Especially because we have been spotted and seen by, you know, the enemy, quote unquote.
A couple people.
Yeah.
And so we should probably, like, re-disguise ourselves because the last disguises stopped working.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like if we did visit Eric Verne, at this point, I'm not too worried about being noticed. I feel like we have been noticed plenty, and I'm not sure how discreet we could be from here. Like, where do we go from here?
And who's paying for these new clothes exactly?
We are, Travis.
It's always me. It always falls on my credit card.
It's 100% on Gwen's credit card.
Yeah, and it probably should.
Does Cassandra even know what money is before this trip? Like, did that even... Because you were in the church. Things were just given to people.
Yeah, no, she's never really had to, like, use money before.
Yeah, that makes sense why you want to shop all the time.
Well, she's also never been, like, shopping, really. Like, you know, she had people that, like, came to her house and were like, here's your new clothes.
And then there was much bowing and all that stuff and screaming.
Listen, all I'm saying is, why do we need new clothes when I got perfectly good rags in my pockets?
No one wants your rags, Travis.
Yeah, you do have the address of the tailor. He is on the third layer of the city, which is where you are now. You can see the sky. You're on top of the mesa. Man, what idiot called it Platea, but then put it in a mesa. It's almost like there would be a geographical mix-up consistently. Chris? Anyways, it's a mesa, not a plateau. So let me ask this. Is there anything in the airship that you need to get? Certainly there would be, I think, the letters, I believe, would be stored there. Like, I don't think that's something Gwen just, like, brings out with her.
I feel like Gwen sleeps with them under her pillow, but no, she probably wouldn't take them out of the ship just because. But I do feel that if she knew that Eric Byrne was around, she probably would have been prepared for that. So I feel that it's safe to say that she has letters in her satchel because, like, I think it was already in her head that she was going to visit Eric because I think that he's the only person that would agree with her and validate her suspicions of her father. So
reasonable. Yeah, so do we want to head to the tailor? Does anyone want to go to the ship? Or because it sounds like the tailor is where we're going to go first.
I got no business at this tailor. I guess I got things pipes I gotta bang on. So, you know.
So to the tailor is what we're saying?
Yep, let's go. Yeah,
Okay.
and do we know if this tailor is like, so like, we know that Barnabas Glass gave us the address of the tailor,
Yeah.
and like the tailor's chill.
Yeah.
But is the tailor chill in that like, I know who you are and I'm gonna give you a discount and keep it on the DL? Or like, I know who you are and I'm gonna keep it on the DL, but because I'm keeping it on the DL, I'm also gonna upcharge this.
I think it's more, I know who you are, I'm going to put it on the DL, and I'm going to charge Barnabas Glass 6 times what these outfits are worth.
Oh, he's charged. Oh, it's on Barnabas Glass's tab. Okay, y'all, let's go shopping.
well, that changes things. Let's go.
Oh, Barney. Yeah, if Barney's paying, that's fine.
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah. Again, it's really difficult to properly encapsulate just how fucking beautiful this area of the city is. It is made beautiful because it can be. This is a place where art flourishes and thrives. Many people consider this the seat of culture within Saranel as an entire entity. And as you're moving, there are gardens, and it smells of spring and fresh air and life and love. And occasionally, you'll notice servant courier stairways that lead downstairs. And it's always just a quick reminder of, oh yeah, this is a gilded piece of shit. Like, it's beautiful on top, but you go just a couple of feet down, and it's hell. And you're maneuvering through this area, and eventually you come across this tailor shop, and it is seemingly unremarkable. Like, let me rephrase that. It is unremarkable by the standards of Platea, which means that it's still beautiful and vibrant and looks absolutely pristine. And in the window are, dresses and suits that are just like Met Gala, like, some of these dresses cost more than the Wren. Like, these are works of art, right? Which isn't to say, the Wren is not by any means cheap, but also, like, the Wren's small.
Hey, watch what you say right now. Watch what you say.
Okay, she's a bucket of bolts, but she's your bucket. I get it, buddy. I get it. But yeah, so you enter in, and you see that the owner of the tailor shop is Iron-Skinned. So I don't believe Iron-Skins have actually come up in the campaign up until this point. As a bit of a lore background, Iron-Skin are people who have transferred their consciousness into mechanical bodies. So they were people, they are currently suits of armor or automatons. So think very much like Alphonse Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. I hesitate to call them robots because robots implies artificial intelligence, and they are actually intelligent. They're sapient life, they were born and raised. If anything, they're like magic cyborgs. Yeah, so an Iron-Skin is running the shop, and you see that this particular unit has 4 arms. You see that they're currently painting a sign that's supposed to be like for a new sale or a new event. You can't really see from here, but the hands continue to fold into the forearms. And when they come out, there are new tools. And, you know, the ringing of the bell happens, and you hear, "Just a minute." And from the accent, you're immediately able to tell that they're from the Republic of Coleman, where you guys just came. So they are not residents of the Empire. They are immigrated, excuse me. And eventually it turns around, the robot, and it is fascinating to look at, because you can tell that a lot of what has made this machine special before a person inhabited it was that it was originally not all that different from the golems that you guys saw during the battle with the Blood Krakens. It was originally a much poorer laborer entity. It was not something fancy. And there have been gilded additions that have been added, and the two arms were functionally soldered on. This is a person who upgraded themselves in very physical ways. In many ways, gilding themselves almost in tattoos would be an apt comparison for what they've done with the gold filigree within the body. But the entity, because it's, you know, looking at you and it just goes, oh. And then in a distressingly fluid movement. And when I say that, I want you to imagine a ballet dancer moving across the space, but underwater. Like with that kind of fluid and purpose of movement and precise strength and delicate, but somehow more flowing, less, you know, human, for lack of a better word. But in no means metallic. In many ways, just seeing it move is an art. And as it moves to the door, you see it kind of like skirts around you and behind you, and it draws all of the shutters of the shop, and then flips a sign around that says closed. And then it kind of, not really back handsprings, but just kind of like moves its legs toward the counter where it was working behind, and it puts its hands on it, and its entire body flips and rotates so that now it's facing you from behind the counter. And it just says, Barney sent you?
Quick question for you. Would this be one of our first like encounters with something like this, with like an iron skin?
For Cassandra, absolutely her first.
I'm going to say not Gwen, because if she grew up here...
Yeah, it's not uncommon. For you and Suri, no, you have absolutely encountered them before.
Great. Just want to make sure.
I can't speak for Atlas, though. I would imagine he would have met Ironskin.
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. The Ironskin just looks at you and just says, Barney sent you?
Of course he did. Atlas, I go to shake their hand.
And they reach out a hand to you and shake it, and it's a firm handshake, but it's distressingly cold because it's a machine, right? And it shakes your hand, and they say, Autumn. My name's Autumn. And points to Cassandra and says, I know who you are. Points to Gwen. I know who you are. Looks at Suri and Travis and says, you I do not know.
That's good.
Don't worry about it. I'm Travis, you know? We're wanderers.
I don't really want to tell you my name, but it's nice to meet you, Autumn.
And Autumn, there's a fraction of a head tilt, and Autumn just kind of like nods and is like, yeah, for what Barney's paying me, that makes sense. And then kind of moves deeper into the store and like gesturing. And with its upper arms, it's, you know, giving a tour almost as it's showing you the space, but then its lower arms are clasped behind its back. And Autumn just gestures broadly and is just like, so there is a lot I can do to make sure that you don't draw attention to yourself up here. But you might still want to hang on to your clothes if you want to go downstairs. I can try and offer you, you know, maybe a little something sparky, you know, a bit of energy to it that might be able to mask you, if you get what I'm saying. But otherwise, most of my stuff is going to be good for up here.
I don't understand. Can you elaborate?
I can dress you rich. Like, really rich. I can't do much else at this point. At least given the materials available to me.
I had a feeling. But that's okay because our friend here has rags, so we're gonna be fine.
What's wrong with rags?
You get the feeling that if Autumn could, they would be raising an eyebrow.
Don't give me that stone cold look of no expression. I know exactly what you mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We'll take the garments.
And Autumn nods. I'm gonna let you guys have a bit of fun. What are your new fits? Describe them to us.
Suri is in a very... Suri is ready.
Uh-huh.
Suri always wears red and, like, darker colors.
Mm-hmm.
So given the chance, it's like an emerald green pantsuit.
All right.
I am here for it. Okay.
Yeah, so Suri is in a full-on emerald green pantsuit with a black shirt, her hair tucked back in like a nice low ponytail, trying to be kind of like aloof, but also look at me, I'm Suriel Hawk. So
I love it. I'm so here for it. Who else? Who wants to tell me how good they look?
I feel like Atlas refrains from getting a new fit, so to speak. I think he is going to continue wearing his like usual scholar's robes and stuff. I feel like he thinks that he probably fits in a little more looking like that as opposed to looking like super duper rich. Plus, there are still lots of people who would recognize him right away.
Yeah. And you are the least wanted out of the party, so
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I literally am wearing the same exact outfit, except I put on a fancy vest over everything, and immediately when I put it on, it gets dirty. And I'm like, this is good.
Autumn's hands spasm, just looking at this, and Autumn sighs, and just, at the very least, hands you a cape that you can just drape over yourself.
I kind of like roll my eyes and I just like swipe it out of his hand and I just do the thing and put it on over and I'm like, whatever.
Excellent. It is a cool cape, though.
Okay, I feel kind of cool.
It has lots of pockets, which I feel Travis would appreciate.
Okay, that's fine then. That's okay.
Gwen, what do you think Gwen's wearing, Tati?
Gwen's gonna get rid of her normal stuff because I feel that she dresses almost like a revolutionary. She has like traditional looking coat with strappy boots that have a lot of buckles on them, and you know, very very like adventure-y Hamilton-esque aesthetic.
Yes,
so
very
I
much
think
so.
she's gonna ditch that because I think that people know her for wearing that, and I think she's gonna opt in for a hat for sure because her blue hair is a little bit obvious to people. It's like almost a periwinkle color. It's very like distinct. I mean, even though this is freaking anime, doesn't matter, but it's normal. And then she's gonna wear, instead of like the coat, she's gonna swap out the strappy boots for just like a regular black one and throw on one of those like fitted long dresses.
Nice.
With like a nice little like almost beret type hat that fits to her head.
I love it. This
she's
is
like,
giving me big. I know you said you want to distance yourself from the revolutionary look, but this is giving me like big Eponine vibes.
That's fair, and maybe
Which I
that's
think
where
is
I'm
appropriate.
subconsciously drawing this inspiration from.
I love it.
But
I think it's great.
It's very much like I'm someone else now.
Let me tilt my beret.
Yeah, you can't see me.
Exactly.
Oh man. And what is our dear cinnamon roll Cassandra wearing?
It's inspired by a literal cinnamon roll. No, just kidding.
Oh my god.
No. It's some cream-colored sort of harem pants, sort of, this still like a little flowy and baggy. And she's got sort of a little fitted jacket that's also cream, kind of matching the full set. And then just a red scarf that kind of she can cover up her hair with and sort of use to be like, look, it's a fashion statement, but also you can't see my face.
I'm assuming there are gloves.
There are also, yes, they're matching red gloves.
I love it.
That even though the jacket is full length, the gloves are still like elbow length at least.
Incredible. Send us your fan art of these sweet new outfits. Someone literally just take like cape.png and just drag it over Travis's official character art. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's essentially it.
So all of your new outfits are there, and they look sick as hell. You're fly as hell. You're caped as hell. Yeah, so Autumn looks at you and just says, if you need to, pull one of these, and you should be harder to find. And Autumn holds up a bit of the fabric, and it's the sleeve of the left arm, and kind of like drags her hand, just kind of like as though she was like swiping off dust. And when they do that, all of a sudden the fabric becomes blurry, almost as though it was like heat hazy. Basically the equivalent of if this was moving in the crowd, it would be really, really hard to follow. Your eyes wouldn't see it as well. And that happens to the entire piece of fabric.
For all of our clothes?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And they look at Travis particularly and just says, just do your shoulder. It'll be fine if you just do the shoulder.
Okay, whatever. Fine.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna retcon something. It's not a red scarf. It's a cinnamon brown scarf and gloves. There, I did it.
Cinnamon.
And the cream. So you are cinnamon.
Yes.
You are, oh.
Yep.
You're a cinnamon bun.
Oh, you're too good for this world. Too pure. Okay, so Autumn finishes everything up, looks at you and says, listen, the next time you see Barney, he and I are square. Now get out of here. I need to open my store. I have customers to attend to.
I lean in close and I whisper, Shizubi.
No.
Oh, I love you, Tyler. So, yeah, you're now officially in your new digs. What now? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
So it's since it's been a little while, can you just remind us quick of our business here and what we're trying to take care of?
Yes, of course. So the primary point of business was to drop off the journal to Barnabas Glass. Mission accomplished. Now you just need him to finish translating and decoding the journal. Outside of that, the only other major piece of quote-unquote main plot stuff that you have is the dirt on Mr. Godwin and his involvement with the conspiracy. So it would be a good idea to follow up on that also. And again, Eric Verne would probably be the best choice for that in particular. And aside from that, if you need contact on the shadier side of things who you know you can trust, who's gonna have your back, Oliver Ronan is there for you in that regard. You're gonna be in Plataea for a while, or at least you will need to return to Plataea because of, the journal.
I'm assuming it's been a while since me and Suri have been out of country, and I kind of want to go and meet with our coven contact and just check in, make sure everything's been square over here.
I agree. I think we should do Oliver, and then if that fails miserably, Eric. But I think we've got our new digs. Why not show them off to all of our coven friends? Like, friends in quotes. Like,
eye roll, huge eye roll, big eye roll.
Are any of them on this level?
No.
Because I know that
So Verne would be on this level.
Verne is on the
Oh.
level.
Eric Verne is on this level. Oliver hangs out. I mean, second or first level, he's got eyes and ears all over the city.
what does Gwen want? We're investigating Gwen's father. So, like, I think Suri would take her aside and be like, what do you think we should do?
Tati the player thinks that we should go see Eric just because I want to see if he has anything to add to the suspicions that Gwen's been having, but I don't know if Gwen would jump to it right away just because...
Fear.
Yeah. I think she's a little bit nervous about it. So I'm going to say...
I think Cassandra would push her, though.
Yeah?
I'm RPing now. I don't know the guy. Like, I know Barney says he's cool. I don't even know Barney that well. We've been away for a while. I want to meet with Oliver because we're business partners and I need to check in with him.
Yeah, it sounds like we all have, like different, not selfish motives, but we all have our own, like, goals here at Agenda, so...
Sounds like the only person who hasn't weighed in yet is Professor Atlas White.
I agree. I also think that we should be checking out Eric. It's my 2 cents.
It's less of a trip.
Exactly. Less of a trip. We're already around.
That gives us 3 to 2. So obviously Tyler and I would be like, okay, I concede. Let's go see Eric. Travis. Tyler.
What'd you just call me?
I don't know.
How long have I been on this ship?
Travis. I think we need to take a detour.
Fine. I'll check in with Oliver later.
As an educated guess, the best place that you would probably be able to find him, just between Gwen's knowledge and Atlas's knowledge of how Platea works, would be the Houses of Parliament.
Terrifying.
So you could go there and, like, ask for his secretary or some such.
It's a good thing I'm wearing a hat. Let's go.
Oh, thank God for my scarf, man.
And the gloves.
And the gloves.
I feel like the gloves
So undercover.
protect you more, frankly. Okay, cool. So you start heading out in the general direction of the Houses of Parliament. And again, it's just staggeringly gorgeous. And as you're heading up to the Houses of Parliament, there's a whole ass orchard. Like, instead of a park, it's an orchard. Like, there's still, like, seats and stuff that you can sit in, but it's literally, they have food hanging up here when there are the masses just a couple of feet downstairs that are living like that. And it's beautifully scented apples and pears and all sorts of delicious smells. And eventually you make it to the Houses of Parliament. And the Houses of Parliament are made from a white stone that no one knows where it's from, that has been lost to time. This building is very, very, very old. And there's a couple of rumors and stuff, and that's something that's actually hotly debated at the Academy, is where perhaps more of this stone is. It's called Carlang, and Carlang is it grounds out magic. So this building, while it looks like a fortress and is specifically built to withstand magical attacks as well as physical ones. And as you head there, you're able to enter the front doors. And you open it, and there's the creak of old wooden doors, the sound of the heavy doors opening, and it's this polished mahogany. And as it opens, it's, of course, to this massive amphitheater. This just domed, beautiful interior that somehow defies the geography and the seeming architecture of the space. Magical shenanigans are obviously at play. And there is the equivalent of a secretary at the desk. She's a bit on the shorter side, maybe 5'1", and her hair is a vibrant pink, because this is an anime. Need we remind her? But she's sitting there, and she looks at all of you, and her eyes kind of just be like, do I know you? Fuck it, they don't pay me enough. And just says, can I help you?
I hawk a big loogie, and I just spit it right on the floor.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And I go, we're looking for Evan.
It's not even his name.
It's not. That's not. No.
I know what I said.
She whiplash mom arms
No.
Travis from a school bus and is like, no. Pulls him back.
Gwen just shaking her head like, goodness. And just says, we're looking for Eric. We're here to see Eric. He will know me. Just tell him that a friend is here to see him.
This is Baron Eric Verne.
Yes.
A moment, and you see she gets up and she moves to a pneumatic tube, and
Yes.
she scribbles something quickly on paper, rolls it up, and it up, and then there's a few awkward seconds, and she pointedly looks at the loogie, and then looks up, and then looks back at the loogie.
As she looks up at me, I just sort of I'm like, nice. Yeah, I did that.
She looks at Gwen and just goes, so hard to find good help these days, isn't it?
Gwen doesn't refute it.
And then the reply arrives, and she opens it out, and she reads it, and she looks up at you, and then down to the note, frown puzzle, looks up at you, shrugs, and then she tosses the note up into the air, and then, like flash paper, it ignites into a small blue ball of fire, and she just says, follow the flame, it'll take you there.
Oh, that's fun.
And then she just looks down and goes back to work.
All right, you heard the woman. Follow the blue flame, people.
Let's follow that flame.
So you follow the flame, and there's more hallways. Again, I keep wanting to stress how beautiful this city is, but at this point, I think it's well understood. But as you're passing by, there is beautiful artwork, and above the door where it stops you, there is a sign, and it is in a beautiful painted font, calligraphy it was painted, and it says, "Life is magic." The flame kind of sputters and then flies through the keyhole and then goes out. And then there is a few moments you hear kind of like some shuffling of papers and people getting up and stuff, and moves forward, and the door opens, and immediately Cassandra and Gwen recognize this man because he was the nobleman at the party who tried to help Gwen after she got the scar on her neck from the man with the violet eyes.
So I wouldn't recognize this guy.
No, you and Suri would not. No. Atlas would also probably recognize him. Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah, you guys were Team A, if I recall.
Yes.
But yeah, the three of you are there, and Eric blinks, and he blinks again. And he's, when you hear Baron Eric Verne, you're not expecting this guy. He's like maybe 25 years old, and he's pretty handsome. Like, I would say this guy could probably be like a movie star. I don't know if he would be any good, but there would definitely be like a handful of like teenage girls that are definitely like, no, he's my husbando. He has curly dark hair, bright blue eyes, and he looks at you, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, well, you better come in then." And he just kind of steps aside and shows you into his office.
Cassandra just like looks over and makes eye contact with Atlas, like, "This the dude, right?"
I give the thumbs up. Like, yeah, that is in fact the dude.
Gwen nods at both of them.
Suri's in the back like, "I don't know what's going on. Let's do it."
Yeah, I'm like, do you guys want to tell us something or what's going on?
Eric closes the door behind you, and he turns and he says, I was not expecting to find you here. My name is Baron Eric Verne, a pleasure. And he gives a polite bow. And then he looks at Suri and Travis, and he kind of like looks, and he takes a moment to look at Suri, and his eyes kind of gloss over, and then he looks at Travis and just goes, "Bloody hell, you're Travis Evans, aren't you?"
I'm like looking around. I'm like, who wants to know?
And he's just like, "Apparently most of the world," and he holds up today's paper.
Oh, shit. I forgot about this.
Well, I can certainly tell you that I'm not Travis Evans. And I like give him like a little grin.
I'm stressing.
"And I'm the Emperor." And he just kind of puts down the newspaper and just says, "So, to what do I owe the pleasure? And may I ask how you found me? I don't believe we exchanged names the first time we met, Ms. Godwin, Madam Speaker."
Do you want to say something, Cassandra? You look like you're gonna explode.
Suri, like, she pushes Cassandra. She's like, "Your turn. Your turn."
No, I don't.
I give her a nudge.
We have contacts.
And then as she says that, I roll my eyes and I give Atlas a nudge.
Recently, we came across, what was his name? Fuck, I literally just looked this up. We helped a young man and his daughter, Garrett Anders, and he gave us your name, said that you could help us out.
His eyes light up and he said, "You know Garrett Anders?"
Well, we crossed paths, helped him out a little bit, but I'd say we're more acquaintances than anything else.
And he leans back in his very nice chair. It should be noted that compared to a lot of the opulence you have seen, while still very much upper class, this is a much more modest office than what has been around. Even Barnabas's office was more like richly furnished than this one. And he leans back and he says, "Garrett saved my father. My father was poisoned by a political rival. Garrett happened to be on hand, and he was able to create an antidote. Within minutes. I've never met a more talented alchemist. If he says your friend's in need, then my resources and my name are at your disposal. What can I do to help?
Well, you can start by taking a look at these. And Gwen pulls out the letters from her satchel. She hands them over. And yes, I still have the thing on my neck, because I know that's what you're wondering.
He kind of smiles bashfully, and he's like, you said it, not me.
Suri literally goes, I'm sorry, what? What did you say?
Gwen realizes what came out of her mouth and looks over at Suri and just says, I'll explain later. This isn't the time.
You better explain later.
And she just looks back at Eric and looks at him very pleadingly. You were there that night, and I know that you know that something beyond us was in play.
He raises a hand, and he just says, your traveling companion is the speaker. I assume spectacular things happen on a semi-regular occurrence given this party. Whatever happened. It's none of my business. Now, let me take a look at these. And you can see he's actually pretty uncomfortable about everything that's happening right now, but he's trying to deal with it. And you see he goes through the letters, and as he's reading them, his eyes widen. And he's going through it, and he's like, HMH. Of course, that son of a bitch! And he looks up, and he says, HM, in these notes, in these letters of yours, if I had only one guess and a gun to my head if I guessed wrong, Duke Henry Megason is behind these letters.
Megason?
I believe you also made his acquaintance that evening. There's a moment, and he's looking and he says, Megason has been aggressively pushing in Parliament for more severe crackdowns on civilian suspected coven locations, pushing for a curfew, and in generally inflaming Parliament against not only the common man, but any national entity outside of the Empire. And if he's pushing for the creation of a fleet, then...
He's pushing for war.
And if he has my father's support, he's gonna get a war.
But with whom? And why?
Exactly. I was hoping that you might know. I was hoping you might know about my father's involvement, or if there's some piece we're not seeing, something we're missing here.
He thinks about this for a moment and he says, what I can do overtly is limited, but I have resources and I have connections. If your father is involved in this, and while this is damning evidence in my eyes, I can't guarantee that it will go in Parliament. We would need more concrete evidence, but I can assure you that we can get it, and I can more fervently delay anything that Megason may bring out in Parliament. I still have friends. But there's someone you may want to have a conversation with first. And at that point, there's a heavy knock on the door, and he says, right on schedule. And the door opens, and a man comes through. And notice he didn't wait for Eric to invite him in. But a man comes through, and he's about 5'6", and he is all muscle. This dude is one thick muscle. He's wearing a bowler hat and a shabby business suit and vest. He's got a mustache, a full kind of like Mario-ass mustache. And he has a scar there's a noticeable gap in the mustache from the top of his lip going to his right ear. And it's a jagged scar. It looks like it's stained with wine. And there are other minor scars all over his face, his neck. You see them on his hands. And Travis, sir, you've heard of this man by reputation, but you've not had the pleasure of meeting him. This is Oliver Ronan.
Ah!
He steps in and he says, right then, Ven, you had Sheila send us a message. What do you need? And he kind of leans back and he says, Mr. Ronan, these are friends of Garrett Anders. And Oliver kind of turns and he looks at you all appraisingly. And you can see there's calculations going in his brain. And he looks at each of you in turn, and his eyes stop on Cassandra and hover on her, and then looks back at Suri and Travis and says, Captain Hook, Mr. Evans, was not expecting to make your physical acquaintance anytime soon. And he goes forward, ignoring the other three, and goes to shake Suri's hand first, and then Travis's.
I say, it's been a pleasure. I know we haven't had direct contact, but, you're efficient. I'll give you that.
He tips his hat to you, and he says, well, can't quite start a revolution without a bit of efficiency, can I? And Eric, the color goes out of his face, and he's just like, you realize saying that in this building could get us all killed. And Oliver looks at him, and he just says, oh, you're not used to experiencing that all the time, are you, mate?
I think Suri's 100% turned on here. She's like, go, Oliver.
He looks at the group of you, but specifically addresses Suri, and just says, Garrett sent you. What can I do?
I'm actually going to defer to my friends over here, because they seem to be a little more informed and know things that I should have known before, but was left out of the loop. You want to say something, Gwen?
First of all, Travis, how do you know him?
What do you mean? We're associates.
What kind of associates?
We do business together.
Why so ominous? Answer the question.
Me and Suri have experience with supplying certain Coven contacts, and Oliver is one of the primary representatives here. So, we cross paths every once in a while. I get an order from him. We drop off things to certain other locations. I'm not going to say what, but...
Okay, so Gwen looks at him and says, you run with the Coven?
There's a small smile, and he says, in a lot of ways, love, I am the Coven.
I'll be the judge of that. I see if he knows the handshake that only Coven members know.
He does, and he does it so fast.
Oh, shit.
He looks at Gwen and then holds up a hand, and again, scars all over his palms. And he just says, apologies of a bit of a flair for the dramatic. I am one of the largest Coven cell leaders here, though officially I have been dead since... Eric, how long have I been dead for? And Eric is still kind of like pondering over the letters, and he looks up and he goes, oh, what? You were publicly executed 8 months ago. And he goes, there it is. But I happen to run most everything involved with that particular organization.
Suri jumps in and goes, I can trust him about as far as I can throw him, which is farther than you'd expect, so I think we can trust him.
And he looks at you and just says, farther than they'd expect, but I think shorter than you'd hope, love.
Ollie, I just want to say I'm sorry that we haven't been, in country. We've been taking care of other business elsewhere, but you just say the word, send us a letter. There's always employment.
He pauses for a minute and he looks at you in the eyes and he just says, my name is Oliver.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
I like this guy.
And he nods and he just says, right, well, you know who I am, you know what I do, you know what my business is. We've yet to cover the subject of what it is I can do for you.
Okay, let me ask you something. Oliver, do you have an entryway into my father's estate?
He tilts his head a little bit and he says, and you would be the fabled and missing Miss Godwin, I'm assuming. Into your father's estate. In theory, certainly. Practically, not currently. Surely I imagine you could just walk up and knock on the front door and Daddy Dearest would welcome you back in with open arms, no?
Seemingly, but I know my father, and even though he's difficult, he isn't stupid. And I feel that if I was to walk in, he would probably suspect that I'm up to something. So I thought maybe that your connections with the Coven could potentially get us there in a more discreet manner. You see, we suspect that my father is up to some very, very suspicious activity, and it could affect everyone in the city and beyond.
And he looks at you, and he looks at Vern, and he says, "Now I know I have a flair for the dramatic. Is she on the level?" And Eric nods, and he passes the letters. And he reads them, and you see Oliver's face turns to stone. Like he's reading these, and there's an anger that's there as he's going through it. And he goes, "Right then. I assume in going into your father's estate, you want to acquire some sort of evidence or the like to ensure that this sticks. Am I correct in that assumption?"
Correct. And also to find out what the next part of this plan is.
And he kind of leans back and he looks over at Eric and he says, "You vouch for them." And he nods and he says, "Garrett sent them to me. Garrett did." And Oliver just kind of thinks about that, and the wheels are turning in his head, and he rubs his chin, and he thinks about it, and he looks up and he says, "Well, if I'm going to be interacting with this level of society, if you catch my meaning, I'm going to need to ensure that, all my assets are covered. So I'm going to need a lot of you to ensure that you're not going to be up on this level for some time. Because, if something goes horribly awry, and someone unfortunately gets left behind, either my mates or any of yours, I'd rather make sure that, they have a lot more rat holes to hide in, and that's a bit more difficult than up here when fucking hawks can knock down any door they want to a lot faster, isn't it?"
How much money do you want?
"Oh, you can't buy me, love." I just realized that's a Beatles reference. Shit.
I wouldn't have noticed.
Suri hops in and goes, "Can you trust me?"
And he looks at you and he goes, "Currently? I don't know. Can I?"
That's a great question. That's what I wanted to ask you. But you have our word on this situation. We'll disappear.
Fine. You do one of two things. You either hide out on your ship, or you hide out with my mates. Other than that, if you're not willing to commit to those things, deal's off. I can find my own way into settling things with Duke Magasin and Daddy Dearest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with hanging out with your guys. Seems fine.
Oh, your mates sound... I'm sure they're wonderful, but I think perhaps the ship needs some guarding or something. Perhaps we could clean it. Oh, there's got to be some work on the ship, I'm sure. I'm sure, don't you think so?
Yes.
You seem nervous, Cassandra.
Travis, yes, we can go back to the ship. No problem.
Oliver looks at Cassandra and just says, "For someone they call a speaker, I found it difficult for you to get a word out, eh?" He looks at Eric and he just says, "You send me what we agreed on when we agreed on it, yeah?" And Eric nods and he says, "I haven't been late yet." And Oliver nods and he goes, "That's what I like about you. You understand exactly what the situation is." He gets up and he starts to go and he turns and just says, "Oh, one more thing. If you tell anyone that I was here today, I will find each of you and beat you to death with my own hands. Ta!" And then he leaves and shuts the door.
Nice guy.
I look at Suri and I go, he was a lot more cordial in his letters.
He's hotter in person, but yeah.
Eric kind of looks and he says, "Yes, Oliver Ronan, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it sounds like you have your course laid out. I will attempt to finish things on my end. And while I believe Oliver is correct in your needing to make your residence out of sight. I don't think that means you need to completely make yourselves vacant from the surface. In fact, there may be some political function that the speaker arriving may have in current events. And if you would be willing, perhaps you and I, Madam Cassandra, could find time to leverage your particular position in a way to help our agenda. And he gestures to Megason's letters.
If you think it will help. But once they know we're here, it puts a pretty big target on our back. Do you think it's worth it?
I happen to disagree with Oliver on one particular point. In the shadows, it is a lot easier to find you and move you without anyone hearing. In the light, it becomes very, very difficult for someone to take you without raising an eyebrow. If the conspiracy wants you, and you're able to say this is wrong, then there's not much they can do without drawing undue attention to themselves.
You make a good point. What's this function you've taken me to?
He smiles and he says, I might take you before the Emperor, my dear.
Do you mean you're going to take all of us?
I will, allow me to change my words, present Cassandra to the Emperor in her official title and status within the city of Illuminaria. You may, of course, be in the crowd as support or what have you, but again, with all due respect in regards to political capital, none of you come close to the weight that Cassandra holds.
With all due respect, we travel as a party.
He raises his hands and he says, a suggestion that I believe we should continue to explore at a later time, but as for now, perhaps it is time for you to depart.
I think that would be wise.
I think so as well.
Demi said get out.
Suri's ready to throw hands, but all right.
He said, y'all are annoying. Please leave.
He's got work to do, man. He's a lord. He's got work to do. But yeah, so I'm assuming you all leave.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna just pull him by the shoulder, and I'm just gonna say listen, careful with dealing with guys like that. I know you're a smart guy, but just do what he says.
He nods and he kind of smiles and he says, you too.
I just give a little and I just walk away.
He goes to shake your hand before you leave.
Oh, I shake his.
Cool. I'm assuming you're just going to head to the ship then.
Yep.
I guess so.
Okay.
We gotta put down our rags.
So before you leave the building, you see the secretary, Sheila, who had alerted Oliver to your presence as you're leaving. She waves you down and is just if I may, a moment, and goes right up to Gwen and hands Gwen a note and then heads back to her workspace. You open it and you read it and it just says, Charlotte knows you're here. She looks at you as she, when she's back on her desk and she's daggers at you.
Okay, well, Gwen is on the verge of a panic attack. And is trying really hard not to show it, but her whole face is red.
Mm-hmm.
And she's sweating and shaking a bit. And she just quickly closes the letter and stuffs it in her pocket, all crumbled up.
So you got this letter on the way back to the ship?
Yeah, before you guys left the Houses of Parliament, the secretary handed it to her.
You okay, Gwen? You seem a little disoriented.
Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's fine. So we should probably talk strategy. I was thinking that he might have a point. Using Cassandra as a distraction has proven to work in the past, so I think it might be worth a shot. And if we need a little bit of an extra distraction, I'm willing to offer myself up. I was thinking about it, and the whole issue is that I can't just walk up to my father's estate because he's going to know that it's for something malicious. He's going to know that I'm up to something. But what if at this session with the Emperor, when we are in the crowd, guards happen to notice me?
I'm sorry. Is this have to do with your secret that you decided not to tell us until we were in front of someone we don't know?
Oh no, we're not on that yet.
Oh,
Like I was saying, perhaps maybe the guard would notice me in the crowd on purpose. We can set it up that way. And then they'd have to call me in, because at this point, there's no way that they're going to let Gwen Godwin walk out of a crowd without taking her to her father. So maybe that would be my way in, pretending that I wasn't trying to get caught, but I really was. And then that could be a way for you to sneak in and work with the coven, and I could keep my father busy.
But wouldn't you be going alone?
Yes.
what?
But it's my father. What is he going to do? You know, he's going to yell at me and say everything he's ever said to me since I was a kid, but it's definitely safer for me to be in that position than to be caught as someone else and no one knows who I am. I'm safer when people know who I am.
I mean, I think it sounds pretty good.
Atlas, can someone talk some sense into what's going on? I'm so confused.
Frankly, I like the idea.
We're just gonna risk up Gwen and Cassandra, who we have been protecting for this entire journey, and now we're like, forget it! Put him in the public eye, and we're just supposed to say, okay.
I think that you should trust your teammates.
I'm sorry, Captain. You know that I never go against what you say, but I think in this situation, you're wrong.
Suri looks she's losing it. She's so... I think Suri's bad at admitting when she's wrong, and this is probably a good plan. But if we're at the ship, Suri just 180 and walks up the plank. Just
So here's the thing. You've made it to the ship.
Great.
And as you look at the ship, there are bloody footprints leading off of the ship.
Oh.
Awesome.
Huh.
There's quite a few of them. And
Multiple sets?
yeah, multiple sets,
Oh,
not just
God.
one set leading out of the ship. As you go in and as you go below deck, the Gaiacite crystal that powers the ship is gone.
Oh,
my
no.
God.
Hell
No.
no. Dude. Hell no.
The metal grating that was keeping it in place, that connected it to the barrier and the energy and the engines, it's been torn apart.
Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me?
And on the side of the wall, you see Percival, the deckhand who tried to cover for you, dead, with his throat slit.
No, not Percy.
And written in blood on, I think it's called a bulkhead, but on the wall of the ship, written in blood, it says, "You must answer for the sins of Solaris." And that is where we are ending this season.
No.
Hey.
Christopher, I am on the verge of tears. I don't know why, but I am on the verge of tears for my beautiful ship that I have become very attached to.
I'm sorry.
We got a guy murdered!
Yeah,
You
you
took my
did.
ship
That's
away.
just business, though.
Well,
Come
now we
on.
have more of a reason to break into my father's estate.
Oh my god.
We need more guys.
Suri's gonna lose it.
Oh my god. Okay, friends. There we go. That's the end of the season. Season 2 obviously is going to pick up where we left off. So for the last time this season, I kindly... Alex, are you okay, honey?
You took my ship away.
So
I
yeah.
mean, your ship's still mostly good.
No.
The blood part, it just can't go anyplace.
Yeah, the engine's fucked. That's fucked.
The blood might be a little hard to get out, but
You know, look, if there's anything I know about Travis, is he's got rags that can take care of
word.
dirty things.
Travis and I are just
my
gonna have
stuff.
Travis has
start
rags.
crying. We're both just gonna start sobbing. There's gonna be no.
He's stressing.
Someone's gonna die.
Probably. Someone already has.
Percival.
No, yeah, but multiple people are gonna die.
So, okay. So with that in mind, for the last time this season, it's time for our awards. So, as always, we have MVP, Most Valuable Player, who mechanically moved the plot forward the best. We didn't actually have any dice rolls this time, so I will leave you all to vote on that. Or rather, since we didn't have any dice rolls, mechanically no we're I'm going to say nominate the top 2 players for the Embodiment Award. Embodiment, who was the most in character, and move forward in that regard.
Can we nominate you, Chris, because you played 2 different characters that were very incredible.
I did like Autumn and Sheila.
Oh my god.
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I've really been looking forward to playing these characters. But no, it does not go to me. The point of this is for experience, but I do thank you for the compliment.
I would personally like to nominate both Alex and Tati.
Same.
Yeah, I'll nominate him. Sure.
Thanks, guys.
I think y'all did some high quality role playing there.
I go with both of them.
Yeah, it's great.
Congratulations! Both of you get additional experience points. So,
Yay.
my dear listeners, you have come with us this far, but the adventure is only getting started. It's only going to get more intense, more crazy from here. The conspiracy is going to unravel. There's going to be blood in the streets. Old secrets are going to emerge. New secrets are going to come to light. And bottom of my heart, and I think I speak for everyone at the table here, thank you so much for joining us for a season of us nerding out and being anime dweebs at this table. And I sincerely hope you join us for season 2. Until then, be well, my friends.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to A Troupe of Players, an actual play podcast, featuring the talents of Tatiana Bustamante, Michael Jones, Alex Koza, Tyler Lynch, Chris Maclean, and Sharon Ray Ryan. Editing for this episode was provided by Mitchel Shire. Our logo was designed by Coleman Connell. Fabula Ultima is developed by Rooster Games. It is scheduled for release in 2022 and will be published by Need Games. This podcast uses playtest materials and may not reflect the official rules upon release. The setting and characters of this podcast should not be considered canon for any official Fabula Ultima content. For more information on the game, please visit www.needgames.it or www.fabulaultima.com. That's FABULAULTIMA.com. If you would like to support the development of Fabula Ultima, go to www.patreon.com/roosteremma. That's patreon.com/roosterema.com. Reach out to us on Instagram or TikTok for more information on the cast, crew, or lore of the game at A Troupe of Players, or send us an email at atroupeofplayers@gmail.com. That's at ATROUPE of Players.